Well, hello folks, welcome back to What's Cooking in Bert's Kitchen. Today, we're going to make some cookies. Strawberry cheesecake cookies. You're going to be very impressed with this. You're going to love this recipe. Trust me, it's going to be one of your go-tos for any party occasion or just you got nothing better to do on an afternoon and you feel like chowing down. First thing we're going to need to do is a little bit of prep work. First, we want to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. The next thing we're going to want to do is work on the cheesecake part of this. Then we'll set it aside and work on the cookies. First, we need to work on the cheesecake. Now, in order to do this, you're going to need some cream cheese. 1 block of cream cheese, 8 ounces. Set it out a couple hours ahead of time. Let it come to room temperature. It's going to be very important to make it easy to work with. We'll set that in a nice mixing bowl. To that, we're going to add 1 egg. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. A little bit more if you want it a little sweeter. This I find to be sweet enough, but that's up to you. Then we're going to add 1½ teaspoons of strawberry extract. Half. One. 1½ Next, get out a good fork. Whip it up pretty good. You can use an electric beater. You can use a stand mixer if you want. A lot more cleanup. I'll just do it this way. It's nice and soft since we let it sit out for a couple of hours. Doing it this way takes a little bit more work than using an electric motor, but that doesn't bother me. And make sure you whip it thoroughly to get it all completely combined and nice and smooth. Okay, so here we have a nice smooth cream cheese mixture. Now we're going to place this into a plastic bag and let it sit. Use a nice rubber spatula like this. That way you get all of it out of there. You don't want to leave any of this behind. Okay, so we'll set that aside and deal with that in a little while. Now the next bit of prep we're going to do is going to be our graham cracker crumbs. Because what's cheesecake without graham crackers? Take a package of graham crackers, like such, and a Cuisinart. Now, the Cuisinart I have here is just a tiny little one you get for $10 at the Walgreens or Walmart or whatever. This will work fine. If you have the big one, go right ahead and use it. Take the graham crackers out, break them up into a few pieces. Get them into your Cuisinart. As many as will fit at a time. You may have to do 2 or 3 batches of this for all your cookies. Pop the lid on. And turn them into crumbs. Now, we'll place them into a nice mixing bowl. This one's rather large, but you're going to want that. And I'll show you why in a few. Now, you want to get out any large pieces, get them back into the Cuisinart. Add a few more crackers and let's go at it again. Once again, we'll set this aside. Now we're down to making the cookie part of the recipe. So, first thing you're going to need, you recall earlier I told you to set the cream cheese out a couple hours ahead of time so it would come to room temperature and soften. We want to do the same thing with 2 sticks of butter. We're going to take these 2 sticks of butter and put them into our mixing bowl. Simple cookie recipe. You can use this for a million different types of cookies. To this, we're going to add 2 cups of sugar. And there we have it, 2 cups of sugar. Once again, going to use a fork just to get it whipped up and creamed. This is called creaming the mixture. You want to get it completely mixed together. If you have an electric beater or a stand mixer, go right ahead, please, be my guest. I'll just do it with a fork. Now this recipe is going to create a lot of cookies, probably about 5 dozen. You don't need that much. Just take these measurements I've given you, cut them in half, and it'll work just as well. Now this is going to take a few minutes, but what you want to make sure you do is get it all really, really well combined and into a nice, smooth, creamy mixture of butter and sugar. Now, I told you to take the butter and the cream cheese and set them out a couple hours ahead of time. If you're making this on the fly, there's another simple way to do this. You can take the butter, you can take the cream cheese, separately of course, put them in the microwave for about 10 seconds. They should soften up. No more than 10 seconds. If, they were frozen, go 10 seconds, then go 5 seconds more each time afterwards, just to make sure that you don't melt your products. Okay, so there I've got a nice smooth creamy mixture. Now, I want to add 2 eggs. 1, 2. Here we also want to add half a teaspoon of our strawberry extract. What that does is it'll marry all the flavors together and give a consistency between this cookie and the strawberry cheesecake filling that we're going to use. Get that all whipped in there, and this should become a rather thin mixture. Pretty liquidy. But make sure you get it all whipped thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, together. There we've got our flavor base for our cookies. Now, the next thing we'll want to do is add a tablespoon of baking powder. Now, a lot of your recipes will call for a teaspoon of baking soda. What baking powder is 1 part baking soda to 2 parts cream of tartar. The cream of tartar is an acid that will help the eggs to set up and make your cookies thick and soft and chewy. So, a tablespoon of baking powder, we now have 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. It's going to make all the difference in the cookies that you make. Now this is also very important. Here we need a 1/4 teaspoon of ordinary table salt. What that's going to do is help to bring all the flavors out. You won't taste salt in your cookies. It's just going to bring all the flavors out. Without them, it's the baking soda in the baking powder will just make them taste flat. And then our last addition is 3 cups of flour. If you want, you can sift. I don't bother. Doesn't make a difference to me. And there we have 3 cups. And you're going to be mixing for a minute. Now, if you're using an electric beater or a stand mixer, start out on slow. You got a lot of powder in here. Really, you don't want to be cleaning it up off of the ceiling and the floor and the dog and the children and everything else in the kitchen. So start out slow. Get it all fully well mixed in there. This is going to become kind of thick. We want that. Now, if you're doing this with a fork, well, you can skip the gym. It's going to be quite a workout. Okay. So now we have a nice, thick cookie mixture. In order to keep my cookies all the same size, I'm going to use this little small ice cream scoop. Now we want to get those graham cracker crumbs we made earlier. Get a nice flat scoop, stick it into your crumbs. Why did we use such a big bowl? So I can get more than 1 cookie done at a time. Toss them around in there. Don't make a big mess. You just want to get them coated with that graham cracker. Shake them off. And then set them on an aluminum foil greased cookie sheet. Okay, so here we have all of our cookies set up on the cookie sheet for our first batch. You want to take a teaspoon, or you can use your thumb, but honestly I don't like that. And I want to make a well in the middle of each of our cookie rounds. This is where our cheesecake's going to go. Try and get it as centered as possible so you don't break the edges of the cookie. But, you know, if that happens, pictures aren't going in Home and Garden magazine, so. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is get out that cream cheese mixture we had made earlier in the bag. You want to open it up, get a little air in there, because we want to get it all down into one corner of the bag, like such. Then we'll squeeze the air out. Now at this point, get a pair of scissors and snip off the end. Don't get it into your cookies. Now you have a piping bag. And here what we'll do is just pipe a little bit of cream cheese to fill up each of these holes. Don't go too far over, because the little points that you leave at the top will burn. Now once you've done the last cookie, set this down on a plate like that, because you now have a hole in the bottom of the bag. Catch any drips that come out. You don't want that all over your kitchen. Got our oven heated to 350 degrees. Place our trays in the oven. Set the kitchen timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's it. Now, while those are cooking, I'm going to make another batch here. I'll show you what happens when they come in. Okay, so 10 minutes is up. Our cookies are done. Take them out. Set them aside. Now you don't want to take them off these cookie sheets right away. There's our beautiful cookies. You want to let them set for a couple of minutes. Now I'm setting the timer for 10 minutes for my next batch. But you want to let these sit for a couple of minutes so that timer gets from 10 down to 8 maybe, or 7, before you take them off of here. They need a little time to cool down before you remove them from here. Otherwise they'll fall apart before you get them onto the actual cooling rack. Okay, so we've let them set 2 or 3 minutes. Want to get a spatula. Get them off the cookie sheet very carefully. And we want to move them to some cooling racks. Now you're going to want to let them sit there at least 10 or 15 minutes before you try and stack them up on a plate. Maybe a little bit more. And then you'll be ready to eat. So let me finish up my cookies and we'll show you what we got. So we've let them sit 10, 15, 20 minutes. They've become a nice, solid, crisp cookie with a good cream cheese filling in the middle. And that, my friend, is what a cookie is all about. Thanks for spending some time with me. Please tune back in again. See what's cooking in Bert's kitchen.